I'd like to formally welcome you all to the 2020 spring/fall/webinar Zoom conference for WCM and ACM Midwest. Really excited to have you guys with us. A lot of good stuff, as you can see already. The exhibitor presentations earlier were great. We're really excited about this. So far, things are going really well. Technically, please just be patient with us. Obviously, we've never done this before, but I do have to mention that Deb and the conferences committee and Mary, our executive director, have done just an absolutely massive amount of work to organize this as best possible, to get our vendors on board so that they can come in and have the opportunity to speak with us. We value you big time. Thank you for being part of this. And then for all of our presenters and everybody else that's involved in this, thank you for allowing us to do this again this year and to not just skip over it. Your interest in this is one of the reasons why we felt it was so valuable to move forward with this. So with that in mind, welcome, thank you again, and I'll pass it off to Jim from ACM Midwest.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Knightright. I'm currently the Alliance for Community Media's Midwest Region Board Chair. And I work at CAN TV in Chicago. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome you to our combined conference with Wisconsin Community Media. Before this year, I hadn't realized how much of a financial liability Wisconsin Community Media takes on to putting on these conferences. And I want to start by thanking Wisconsin Community Media for all the hard work they put into this event year after year after year. So thank you very much.
We just started a minute ago.
Perfect. Once I get started on the keynote, I've got a few errands to run. I run the bank too, so.
Thanks. Deb and Boyce are handling the technical issues for the conference, but if you're finding you're having a conversation with another participant, send a chat to Deb and she may be able to put you into a breakout room so you don't have to leave the conference for those chance meetings that are so important when we get together like this. If you have any other questions that I can help with, please feel free to contact me. My name is long, it gets truncated sometimes on the screen, but I'm the only one with, I think, 12 letters and only 2 vowels. My email is jim@knightright.com, so I'm trying to keep an eye on chat and email while all this is going on, so please feel free to contact me with any questions. Enjoy the conference. And now we want to turn this over to our luncheon sponsors, who really have been a big help for us in terms of just some of the logistics of trying to work those out, but also in terms of financially helping us to be able to do this. And we have Comrex, Cablecast TV, Laytronics, and Castus all sponsored lunch today. And I want to thank them. And I guess for the starting this, I'll turn this over to Chris Crump from Comrex. So welcome.
Sorry about that. I'm still learning how to use technology in this new weird time that we're in. Not really. So thank you very much for allowing me to do this. As you see, I'm outside. As I had mentioned earlier in the session, we're actually doing an outside trade show with a bunch of other vendors. When we had customers here earlier, we all put on our masks. We're being socially responsible, socially distant, and we've got lots of hand sanitizer and masks for attendees. It's really important for us to be able to get out and see our customers, because as broadcasters and PEG stations, it's important for us to be able to be live and local with the people that depend upon us for news, especially in these COVID times. So if there's anything that we can do to help you and your PEG station, your facility, reach out to the community. That's why we make the products we do. That's why our little employee-owned company really offers really good customer support, because we want to help you reach the people that need the information that you provide as a really critical service for the public. Thank you for allowing us to be here. We're happy to sponsor lunch. I don't know what you're eating, but I hope it's good. I had a chocolate bar from somebody's fundraiser for my lunch, and that was awesome. I hope yours is better. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the conference, and we'll see you down the road, hopefully in person next time.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris. We appreciate you guys from Comrex. Alrighty, next up we have Nick Crandall from Laytronics. Nick.
Hey everyone, appreciate you as always allowing me to join you guys for this conference and everything. It's great working with everybody and things. Yeah, it's been a weird time having to be socially distant from everybody and things. So everyone's trying something new at this point. Just wanted to hit on a couple of things. I mean, we here at Latronics are more than happy to assist you with any way to get your media content out more out to the public via whether it be via streaming, Twitter integration, channel branding, stuff like that. Always happy to assist with that. I'm glad we could actually attend the conference and be able to talk with everyone. So yeah, if there's any questions or needs or anything like that in any of those fields on the streaming or broadcast or remote live, things like that, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help out with any of that. And yeah, like I said, appreciate you guys inviting us, and yeah, have a good rest of the conference.
Thank you, Nick. We are happy to have you with us. Alrighty, Bruce Morrison from Castus.
There we go. Jim, how are you?
We're good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So hi, everybody. My name's Bruce Morrison. I'm the VP of Sales with Castus, and we are pleased to announce that we're celebrating our 10th year anniversary this year, and we're still going at it. So it's all because of the support and the feedback we've received from customers like you guys. So thank you. Over the past year, even with all this craziness, Castus has remained very busy. We've added people and we've added new products. In September, we've already surpassed last year's sales, which was also a record year. So again, thank you. As always, we're very proud to partner with you and your organization and what you do for your individual stations and what you provide to your local communities and to this industry. I also want to thank all of the stations from Wisconsin that have joined the Castus family and those are looking at our systems right now. As some of you have already figured out, Castus is truly a pioneer in new technology for our industry. As Nathan already touched upon this morning, this year we have launched several new products and several new cloud products with cutting edge technology even back into our flagship products like our QuickCast single channel and our Roll multi-channel. As you heard from Matt and Nathan, this year we've added cloud services, including closed caption creation, live streaming, video on demand, and more, all from the cloud with no additional hardware required. Castus offers zero transcoding, where you can load basically any file into your library and play it in its native format with no additional handling on your part. And we also have a non-linear time linear editor built into the system so that you don't have to import, export any of your files for editing. You can do it right inside our box, and there is no rendering. So no transcoding and no rendering of those products. We also offer full NDI right out of the box, and it's all included, along with RTMP and HLS. Castus makes it easy. We're trying hard to make it as easy as possible for you to follow up your practical workflow with better and better speeds, less help, less intensity on each one of your workers, getting done faster, getting done quicker, and getting done smarter. We're very proud to be part of this organization, very proud to partner with you. We're proud to have to sponsor your streaming for your event this evening. And thank you. Thank you for everything you do for us. And we're happy to help you at any time with any questions, including streaming. So that's all I had. I hope you guys are doing well. The thing has gone great, Mary and Deb and everybody that's put in so much time. It's an amazing thing that it's going so well in my mind. You guys have just done a great job. And so for the first time out, unbelievable. So thank you guys for letting us be part of this. And I'll be glad to take any questions if you have any, but we'll be back again this afternoon and in the morning. So we can talk to you here or online. Anytime you want a demo, just give us a call, let us know. We can schedule an online demo for any of our products or a combination of those suites. So thanks again.
Thank you.
And I'm
Bruce.
done.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir. All righty. And lastly, we have Randy Visser from Cablecast TV. Randy, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I'm going to mirror what Bruce and Chris said. I mean, this is really important to the industry, and you know, the ability for us to meet with customers, meet with people in the marketplace, and organizations like yours provides this opportunity for us. Obviously, I think we'd all like to be with you. I mean, I personally love going up to Wisconsin. I think you folks live in a beautiful part of the country, and I really miss not getting up there this year. I hope next year we can see each other in real time again. But thanks for putting this together. I look forward to workshop tomorrow afternoon on streaming with Ross moderating. That should be a good one. Join us if you can. And yeah, you know how to get a hold of me. We're very supportive of this organization and the other vendors we're saying. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy, so much. I appreciate that. Alrighty, at this point, I think we're going to turn it over to Lisa to introduce our keynote presenter.
All right, awesome. Thank you. So we've got Steve as our keynote presenter today. Steve has been working on the field of marketing, advertising, and promotion for 30 years. He's always been on tech media and technologies as sales tools. He's a full-time professor at Madison College in the marketing program for 15 years and continues to do marketing consulting when available. At Madison College, he developed and taught the first credited social media class in the country. And last year, he taught the first academic class using virtual reality technology. So we'll turn it over to Steve.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Wow, that was quite a pretentious introduction. Who would have written something like that about me? So I appreciate you saying all that stuff. So, but yes. So thank you for having me. This is a really, really interesting experience for me, as well as it is for you. And I'm really happy to hear that technology-wise, that it's going good. You know, we do live in strange times. You know, we live in technology creative times, and it's a challenge. And the one thing though is it's really fascinating how crises drives innovation. And I think that the fact that you're having a successful conference so far, and we're going to cross our fingers when we say that, it really shows that you're a group of creative people, because that's the people that really thrive with this stuff. I've been involved in technology, in marketing and advertising, you know, literally since back in the 1990s. I worked on one of the first email campaigns ever done with a TV station back in the 90s. That was both the greatest thing ever and the worst thing ever. That's a whole other story that I don't have time for today. So, but I was asked specifically to talk about social media, and I have a presentation that I'm going to walk through, but really I want to hear from the members. So when I was originally asked to do this, and I did some research, you know, what is the organization, how many people, how big it is, you know, I found that it's a lot of people, and it's no one is doing it the same way. And when I've spoken to other like trade type organizations, you know, one of the things that I find is that I can't be too specific, because what works here may not work here. So what I want to do is kind of go over some big high level principles and ideas about marketing and digital marketing and social media. But I really want to hear from some of you. I want to hear specific questions. I want to hear specific concerns. I find that some of the best learning in my classes comes not necessarily from me, but from the participants asking questions and interacting and injecting and all that. So I'm hoping we can do that. I'm in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and much to my horror, a thunderstorm is moving through right now. And I did just take a quick peek at my phone, and it's nothing major, but there is rain pouring in on my window right now. So hopefully you're not hearing that, but welcome to the world that we live in. So yeah, last year when I did my virtual reality class, everything went fine, and a thunderstorm rolled through that day, and the lightning surge protector knocked us off. So, but luckily we were able to get back on in about 30 seconds, and everybody just actually thought it was kind of funny that halfway through a presentation, the teacher just poof, disappeared. And then I just came back, and I told them I had planned it just to make sure the technology was working, but I was literally flying by the seat of my pants. So, okay. So I have to admit, I don't use Zoom a lot. Nobody's hacked you, right? And that's the big concern with Zoom these days. So we use Teams. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint. Hopefully this is going to share properly. I got to find where the right buttons are. Share screen, the big green one in the center. So, okay, here we go. So hopefully you are now seeing a PowerPoint. Is this correct? And somebody give me a verbal and say, yes, we are seeing it.
Yes, we see it.
We see it, yay, yay. And you're not seeing it full screen, right? You're just seeing the whole thing. So I think if I do this from the beginning, now you're seeing, have you met your brand?
Looks great, Steve.
That's right.
It's great, Steve.
Cool, thank you, excellent, excellent. So a little bit about me. Yes, I'm a full-time marketing professor at Madison College. Also known as Madison Area Technical College, also known as MATC, a moniker that we have tried to get away from because Milwaukee Area Technical College discovered the internet before we did. And as a result, kind of staked out MATC as a Google search term. So we have been trying to move away from that, but I still know that a lot of people still refer to it as MATC. You can reach me on Twitter. I thought I'd be really cool and trendy by, instead of putting an email address, I'll put my Twitter handle. I teach marketing. It is actually a Twitter account I use for a couple classes where I really don't tweet about myself because that's kind of boring. I post stories that I find that might be relevant to talk about in my classes. So you are welcome to follow it, but you're not really going to see much personality there because I'm terrified of posting the wrong thing. So I just retweet out primarily news stories about the world of marketing, interesting things happening, sometimes a lot of crisis management stuff because I teach units on crisis management. And wow, the whole COVID thing, it's funny. I actually, one of my scenarios in my crisis management class was, what would you do in a pandemic? And for several years, students have kind of said, well, that's a stupid idea. So I guess we live and learn. So anyway, you can reach me through Twitter, but if you're not a Twitter user, you can also contact me. Just find me on the school's website. I'm easily found. So I did snicker to the guy earlier who said he had a really long last name, but 2 syllables, because I have a very short last name, but it's also 2 syllables, Noel. So you can Google me and find me out there. So anyway, moving forward. Please feel free to interrupt me at any point. I get paid to talk for a living, but I don't like to talk for hours at a time. It's really boring. So ask questions. Now, right now with the Zoom format, when I went to my presentation, I lost the chat feature, but certainly just if you want to verbally ask, just unmute yourself or just say, hey, Steve, and ask me. I would love to be able to answer questions on the fly. So moving forward, have you met your brand? My whole idea about the world of social media is, do a lot of businesses really think about a business? And you're all businesses. Even if you're doing something that's a not-for-profit organization, it's still a business and it has to be run like a business. But my question is, have you really ever thought about your business as a personality, as a person? And this is kind of a key thing in marketing in general. But in the social media and digital marketing world, this has become absolutely essential to that. So what I want to do in my presentation is start by talking about some brand questions, some concepts about what is a brand. Then I want to go into some social media strategies. What I am not going to do is show you any social media, because I don't know if you want to know about Twitter or Snapchat or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, because all of you are different and you're all using social media in different ways. But certainly when we get to the third part, I would love to hear, hey, we've been using Twitter for this reason. Do you have any suggestions of how to better using this? Or we've considered getting into LinkedIn, and is that smart or not? So I have questions for you, but certainly I want to be the answer source and kind of give you a chance to kind of pick my brain about your specific organization. So that's kind of my three things that I'm going to be doing in the presentation. But again, feel free to jump in and ask as we go along. So let me do the old teacher thing. Any questions so far? And I really need to download a cricket sound effect, because every time I ask that question, crickets. So I'm used to it. So we'll just keep talking. So, okay. So moving forward. Okay. Your brand. Who is your organization? Have you met? What is their personality? This is kind of conceptual. When we talk about left brain thinking, right brain thinking, this is right field thinking, okay? So if you really think about your organization as a person, have you really thought about who they are? Are they younger? Are they older? Are they tech savvy? Are they Luddites? I love using the term Luddite because it sounds really nasty. And just, it's the best insult, but really it just means somebody that's not comfortable with technology. So, but I love the term. So, but do you know that? I mean, are the people that you are trying to reach out to, are they Luddites? And if you're trying to reach out to people who don't like technology, using technology, it's up to you to bridge that gap. Okay. The old expression, if you build it, they will come. Okay, that made a great movie called Field of Dreams. I cry every time I watch it. It's really embarrassing. Okay, but the reality is if you build it, they won't come. So you might have the best built website, the coolest looking Facebook page, an Instagram feed with tons of cat pictures on it. Just because it's out there doesn't mean anyone is going to find it. The world of marketing has taken a 180-degree turn with the rise of digital. It used to be consumers seeked out businesses. It's now the other direction around. Businesses seek out consumers. Now for you, you have to think of what is a consumer. A lot of you are media stations. It could be radio or television, whatever. But your audience members are consumers, and maybe they're not true customers, but they consume your content. So they are consumers. So the days have come around where it's not about them finding you, it's about you finding them. So the best way on social media is to have social personality. You have to really go online and present a personality that makes me want to hang out with you. So if you think of social media as a party, so I invite you all to my house, pretend there's no COVID for a minute, wouldn't that be great? I'm going to invite you all to my house to a party Saturday night, okay? And you come to my house and I just got a ding on my end. Was that a message that just came in? I'm just wanting to make sure that
I think that means somebody just arrived here.
Oh, thank you. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that that wasn't like a chat notification. And again, I'm not super familiar with Zoom. So okay. So I've invited you all to my house for a party. And I'm just going to pick on someone because you're on my screen. Jake. Okay. So you come to my house and you immediately go to all my friends and say, do you want to buy my product? 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 what am I going to do? I'm going to take Jake and say, here's the front door. Don't let it hit you in the butt, and get rid of you. Because I invited you into my life and you took it as an excuse to be a salesperson and annoy all my friends. Okay? So I'm going to get rid of you and I'm not going to talk to you again. However, if you had shown up and kind of went around to my friends and said, you know, hey, I'm Jake, I'm from Oshkosh. All I see is Jake Tim-Oshkosh. Are you with a media? Do you have a channel station?
Yep, the back half of that title is Oshkosh Media. So we're the PEG channel in Oshkosh.
Okay, so you come and talk to my friends, and you know it's kind of like, oh, hey, it's people from all over the state. What part of the state are you from? Oh, you're from the Fox Valley. Yeah, I'm from the Oshkosh area. Oh, really? I grew up in Appleton. What part of Oshkosh? What do you do in Oshkosh? Well, I work for Oshkosh Media. Oh, really? What does that do? And then all of a sudden, my friend is saying, oh, that sounds really cool. Can I contact you, or can I, you know, get your content, buy your product, hire you, whatever it is. So you've sold, but you sold by being a person first and a product second. And that's really the nature of social media marketing, is you've got to go into it as a personality. And not you as an individual. Your business has to have personality, and then basically justify why I'm going to keep inviting you to my house for parties. And if you're a fun, cool person, you tell funny stories or tell weird stories, or, you know, after your third beer, you know, you're really a lot of fun to be around. I'm going to go, hey, this guy's kind of cool. I'm having a party next week. I'm going to invite him back because my friends enjoyed him. Okay. So when you're doing social media marketing, you've got to ask yourself, are you going to get invited back to the party? And first impressions count. Okay. So let's talk about a business personality. Okay. In marketing, we call them personas. And one of the first things that every business should do is an exercise where you create a fictional human being that represents your business or your product or whatever. We call them personas. So we create a persona. Think about some really easy things like demographics, age, gender, income, location. Okay, basic, easy stuff. Okay, but psychographics, in marketing we call them psychographics, things that are interests, hobbies, preferences, are infinitely more interesting in a persona. So if we come up with a persona and say, for example, I'm just going to say, I've been emailing with Mary, okay? So I'm going to use Mary as a fictional person. So Mary is a 28-year-old married mother of two living in Sauk City who is a dental hygienist, married to a someone who runs a pet store in town. They have two children, age 2 and 6. And Mary used to go to the gym because she's really into fitness, but because of having to raise kids and have a career, now she has invested in a treadmill. So Mary's day starts at 6 a.m. when she's the first person up. At 6 a.m., she gets on her treadmill for 30 minutes so she can get her exercise in. But while she's on her treadmill, she has her iPad and she goes through Instagram and Facebook so she can see what her sister in California is up to, what her cousin in Florida has been posting. And she follows a couple artists that do pottery, and she really always wanted to get into pottery and never had the time, but she follows them on Instagram. Okay, at 6:45, the rest of the household wakes up. She's got to make breakfast. She's got to get everyone out of the house. She's got to then get in the car, get to work. Okay, do you see how creating a persona, we create literally this 360-degree view of a human being that is our customer or our product. So then we could say, if we want to talk to, if Mary is our ideal target person, how can we reach Mary? Well, we can be on Facebook at 6 a.m. We could be on the radio at 8:30 a.m. Maybe at 9 o'clock at night, Mary's on the couch with her iPad again and a glass of white wine. So how can we reach her? How can we talk to her? I see Deb like that idea, the idea of on the couch. You would be surprised how easy it is to reach working women in a marketing field or in the marketing world. It's simple. 9 p.m. and make a humorous thing about, we know you're on the couch drinking white wine, checking Instagram while watching CSI, okay? They'll respond to that because they can relate to that. So this is why you create a persona, is because it will then fuel how you are going to talk to people, because you really have to know who these people are and how to talk to them as a person. So does this make sense? Is this too esoteric? So good. Okay. I mean, this is something that a lot of businesses, when I've talked to about persona, some businesses simply cannot grasp this concept. And this concept is basically the key to social media. If you can't grasp this and fully realize it, you're going to struggle in social media and probably do it wrong. So, okay. So let's talk about some platforms, because you're here, you brought me in specifically because I supposedly know something about social media. So, okay. I want to introduce you to the concept of the now and the later. In the social media world, there is two ways to look at it. What is happening right now and what's happening just in general time. So I'll give you an example. Say, for example, somebody said, oh, did you hear that there was just a massive earthquake in California? And the good news is all the landslides put out the fires. Okay. That, by the way, that's an old Johnny Carson joke. So if you know who Johnny Carson was. So, okay. That's something that is happening in the right now. Okay. Where would you go on social media to learn about that? Could you check Facebook? You could. You could log on to Facebook and maybe people are posting about that, but you also could be seeing something that happened on Facebook yesterday. Because Facebook really isn't about what is happening right now. Now, it's possible that somebody posts, did you hear this horrible story? And that's how you learn about it, and then you go somewhere else to learn about that. But what social mediums really are all about right now? And I'm going to turn this over to you to make guesses. And I'll give you a hint, there's three. What are three social media that really all deal with what is happening right now?
Twitter.
Twitter is number one. Twitter is by far the fastest moving social media. In fact, anything that's more than 20 minutes is old news on Twitter. So Twitter is the fastest, and that's number one. What's
Instagram?
Instagram is number two. Yep. What's number three?
Facebook.
I'll give you a hint. Your kids probably use it.
TikTok.
No, don't
Snapchat.
say TikTok. We're not going to talk about TikTok right now. So. Yes.
Snapchat.
No, TikTok is actually the later. Yeah. Somebody said Snapchat. Yeah.
Yep, me.
Yep. Okay,
Hey,
cool.
Jeanette.
Right, good, cool. Yes, thank you. So yes, so those three social mediums are primarily about what is happening right now. When people look at them, they really want to know what are other human beings doing at the same time, roughly, that they are doing. The one thing that social media does is it takes geography out of the equation. So I'm in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and thankfully the rain seems to have stopped because now it's sunny. So, okay, good thing. Okay, we'll have a tornado in 10 minutes probably. Okay, so, and by the way, if there is, I'll check Twitter, hashtag WIWX. That's how I follow weather forecasts, is on Twitter using that hashtag. So, when I go online into something like Twitter, I want to know what other people are doing right about now. When I'm on Instagram, I might be at home watching TV. Well, friends are out, and the example I was going to say out at a concert, that we don't have concerts anymore, but maybe they're out at a park looking at the sunset. Now, as a hobby, I'm a photographer. So the really artsy picture behind me, that's one of my photos. So it's amazing how many times I will be, sitting in the basement of my house where I have no windows, watching a show that I'm not really interested in. So I grab my phone, I scroll through Instagram, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all these like amazing sunset photos. And that's a key for me. Get your butt up, get outside, and get a picture of the sun, because you have 10 minutes before that sunset disappears. So I'm up there, grab the camera, click, 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 because I want to be there right there too. So now, if I take those photos and I post them on Facebook, you may not see that till tomorrow, or I might not see it till tomorrow. I've missed the sunset. So things like Twitter, things like Instagram, things like Snapchat are really what is happening right now. Okay. The rest of the social medias really fall into this general category of the later. They all do function in real time to an extent. But for example, Facebook does what's called throttling. So if you put a post on Facebook and you have 1,000 likes on your Facebook page, Facebook will show that to about 5%. So if you have 1,000, you'd be lucky if 50 of them actually see that. It's probably going to be even lower. And then Facebook sits back and waits to see if there's any engagement on that post. And there is a tiered level of hierarchy with engagement. The lowest level is a like, the second highest is a comment, and the best is a share. So if you have 1,000 people who like your page and you've got a live program going right now, and you're trying to get people to tune in right now, first of all, Facebook's not a good place to be at, okay? Because you can post it, but you're only going to get a small number of people. What will happen though is, say that you posted a podcast, so people don't have to listen to it right now. They can listen to it tomorrow or the next day. Then Facebook could be good, but you've got to get people to like, share, and comment if you want to grow that, okay? So when you put something up and someone clicks like, Facebook might say, okay, there's a little bit to this post, we'll show it to a few more people. So you'll go from maybe 50 people who saw it to 60 people. But if someone adds a comment and says, wow, this is a really cool story, Facebook might say, ooh, this is a better comment. We'll show it to 20 people, 30 people. But if even one person says, wow, this is a really cool podcast, I'm going to share it to all my friends, Facebook goes back to your original post and goes, this must be really engaging. Let's show it to 100 more people. And the more engagement, the more sharing, the more liking, as long as Facebook is seeing that there's continual engagement, they will keep showing it to more and more people, okay? This is why if you've ever been on Facebook and all of a sudden a post pops up with this big, long discussion that you're just now seeing and it's been going on for 2 days, it's simply because on the friends list or on the likes list, you were number 92 out of 100 and it's just now getting around to you. Okay.
I always wondered that, because I know I'm friends with them. Why didn't I see that? And like you said, it's 2 days later and you're like, what?
Yep. It's referred to as throttling. So and I'm saying Facebook, but you have to understand all social mediums do this. So Facebook is just the easy, because they're the biggest, and it's just the one to use as an example, the best. But Twitter does it, Snapchat does it, Instagram, they all do it. They all do this. So that's part of it, is when you're putting out content onto social media, you've got to ask yourself, will Mary, your fictional persona, will she share this? And if you don't know that Mary would share this, you've got to really think about that content and how you're presenting it. What's your headline? What is your photograph? what is the graphic? Is when you post something, do you know the dimensions of a photograph? A picture on Instagram is a different aspect ratio than a picture on Facebook, even though Facebook and Instagram are the same company. You guys know that, right? Facebook and Instagram is the same company. Okay. So some people think, well, if I just post it on Instagram and cross post it to Facebook, I'm hitting both of them. Well, guess what? That picture might look really good on Instagram, and then on Facebook, half the name is cut off, and then you look, unprofessional, and you look like you don't know what you're doing because you don't know what you're doing. So part of that is, are you creating material elements to post that are properly formatted? I mean, it's really no different than if you are a TV station. Are you doing an image in 16:9? Or are you still putting out a 4:3 image because you've got older equipment? If you're doing a 4:3, you got to frame people so their heads aren't cut off. It's no different. Do you know what is the proper aspect ratio for an image on Twitter versus Snapchat? So, well, if you're using both of those tools, you've got to really think about that. So let's go back to your content, and you have to ask yourself, are you a why or a when? So when you're posting stuff, is it stuff that people need to tune in right now? And if it is, and you're only using Facebook and you're going, how come Facebook isn't working? It's because you're not using it right. So you really need to say, well, we probably need to start learning how to use Twitter and build up a following on Twitter. Because you can't just set up a Twitter account, because you've got to spend time growing a following first. So maybe you go on Facebook and you say, did you know we have a Twitter handle? Please follow us on Twitter so you can know when we're broadcasting live. Well, you're going to have to run that on Facebook for weeks, months, to try to get that audience who might tune in the next day or the day after that to realize that there is a live component, but they're not going to get that live component through Facebook, probably not. They're going to get it on Twitter. So you have to understand how throttling works, because there's two solutions to throttling. Good content that get people to want to share it, okay? But that's creatively difficult. That takes a lot of energy and creativity to build that content. And the other solution is write a check. So you can put something on Facebook and pay to boost it, and it'll get out there faster, but that costs money. So, but those are the two ways of doing it. And it's no different than any of the other social media. So if you really want to be like the number one, if you want to be trending on Twitter, you either have good content or you write Twitter a check. Twitter will gladly put you at the top of the trending list for, I believe it's about $75,000 to be there for 15 minutes. So now I'm assuming a lot of you have a $75,000 budget lying around for a one-time use on Twitter, right? I didn't think so. So you really have to say, well, if we're going to use Twitter, how can we use Twitter without having to spend the $75,000? Well, you're going to have to spend some time and effort to build your Twitter following by delivering them good content. Because when you start that, again, the people on Twitter are on Twitter because Twitter delivers something different than Facebook. Facebook is, I'm going to chill back at 9 o'clock with my glass of wine and find out what my family's doing, find out who's fighting with who about what, all the crap that's on. Can I say crap? Sorry. What's on there. That's what Facebook's for. But when people are on Twitter, they want to know what's happening right now. So now Twitter is really about opinions and ideas, stuff that is written content. It's technically referred to as a microblog. It used to be 140 characters, then they doubled it to 280. Now it's unlimited, and they just break it up into multiple tweets. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but that's what they did. So Twitter has pictures. You can tweet out photos, but Instagram is really about photos. So you have to ask yourself, is your content worthy of a photo, or is your content better presented as text. Okay, well, that comes down to our fictional persona. What does Mary, our fictional persona, want? Does she want photos? Does she want ideas? That will better determine what social medium you should be on. So now I can tell you, it's great to be on multiple social medias, but that also takes time and effort to learn them, maintain them, keep them up, keep them going. So you really, if you don't have the resources, pick one, make sure it's appropriate, and then master it best. Then you can, it's easier to grow into other ones. But really asking yourself, going back to, are you a why or a when type of content producer, is a critical question when you're talking about the world of social media. So, okay. So always be asking yourself, is this right for our persona? And again, Mary, our fictional persona, because ultimately social media isn't about you. It's about her or him or whatever your persona ends up being. So you have to ask yourself, why are you on social media? You know, if you're on Facebook because Facebook is a really big thing, that's the wrong answer. Okay, and you're probably gonna put in a lot of effort and a lot of time and not get a lot of results. Because if you're just on social media because everyone says you should be on social media, you're doing the wrong thing. You don't have to be on social media. There are other tools out there. But there is kind of this feeling that you should be on social media because there's a lot of social pressure to be on social media. But you really need to say, do you really need to be there? Okay, so don't ask about if you should be there. Ask Mary. You know, what is she getting out of that? Mary, your fictionalized persona. What is she getting out by liking you or following you or whatever the term is for whatever the social, you know, if it's Twitter, you're following. If it's, you know, Facebook, it's liking you. You know, it all means the same thing. So, but what is she getting out of it? What is your persona getting out of it? And are you making it hard for her to find you? Or are you posting when it's not convenient for her? Guess what? That's not her fault. That's your fault. You've got to put yourself into her frame of mind and say, when is the best time to reach her? Where is the best place to reach her? How is the best place to reach her? You have to ask yourselves these questions. Do you see why creating a persona is so critical? Because if you don't have a really realistic persona built, you're not going to be able to answer these questions. So, okay, moving on a little bit to it. I just want to point out that social media and digital marketing are not the same thing. My opinion is we really need to get away from using the term social media because there's so much more than just social media. And jumping down to the bottom, email. Email is digital marketing, and email was one of the first digital marketing tools that really rose up in the 1990s. A lot of people see email as a thing of the past. It's old-fashioned, it's old school. You probably hear this from kids because kids don't email. Well, guess what? They don't need to. They have other communication tools. They TikTok each other. And we're not going to go down that road because I've been talking for 2 years how TikTok is dangerous. So, okay. But in the business world and a lot of like in the grown-up world, we still use email, and email lists are great as long as it's a clean list. You have to ask yourself, how realistic is your list? Have you been using the same email list for 10 years? Guess what? You got to spend some time and money cleaning that list up because, you know, are you even checking? I mean, when you send out an email blast, are you using a tool that gives you analytics like bounce rate, open rates? Are you looking at that stuff? You should be. If you don't know what bounce rate and open rate in email, go look this up right away because I can tell you you're not doing email right. So every time you send out an email, you should be checking the bounce, you should be checking the open, and then looking and seeing what emails have really high open rates, and then going back and looking at those emails and saying, what was it about this email that was so much more effective than that email? Maybe it's a photo, maybe it's a headline, maybe it's you're using humor, maybe you're being very serious and giving it depends on who your married is, who is your audience, what do they want. So other things to think about, when I was kind of surfing around, I did take a look at about a dozen of the digital presences of the various organizations here. And mobile friendly, it looked like most of you were mobile friendly. It seems like a lot of you were using template builders like Wix or WordPress, which is not a bad idea because they automatically they're mobilized. But still, and this is how I test it. I take my readers off because I'm over 50, and I take my cell phone and I look at something and I see if I can read it without my readers. And if I can't, you have a problem, okay? That's not my problem. You could say, well, Steve, why don't you just make your screen bigger? It's not my problem. You're giving me bad content. So I have to admit, I did not see a lot of mobile-friendly problems, but there were a couple people that it was a lot of text. And when I'm looking at it on a iPhone versus a big computer, it was a lot of text, and it was not the easiest thing to read without having to pinch the screen and zoom in on all that stuff. What about multi-platform? Does it look good on a computer? Like maybe you use a laptop to update your website and it always looks good on your laptop. Are you also checking to see how it looks on a phone? And not just how does it look on an iPhone versus an Android? I mean, there is a difference. So you need to be checking this stuff because you never know what Mary, your persona, uses. So you need to make sure that that's not an impediment for Mary to say, oh, I'm not going to follow them because I can never see it on my iPad. So you don't want to make it her problem because it's your problem. So, but are you using digital for extra stuff? Say for example, podcasts is something that you produce. So you create a 30-minute podcast, you put it out there. Do you have stuff on a website that maybe augments the material on the podcast? I'm hoping you all know what the podcast Serial is. Yes, please say you know what Serial is. Okay, if you don't, your homework assignment is to go discover Serial, produced by NPR, and look at how they do it, because they do it phenomenally well. And the first season of Serial, it was a murder mystery. And if you go to their website, you can look at things like maps, and they actually have pictures of some of the letters. Long story short, it's about a high schooler who allegedly murdered his girlfriend, and he's now in jail, and there's speculation that maybe he didn't do it, and because he wasn't white, he was kind of railroaded for doing that. But there's all this other content that makes the podcast even more engaging by visiting the website. Now, you can just listen to the podcast and really enjoy it, and it's very immersive and interesting, but they deliver even more through a second screen, through their website. So is that something that your Marys would find interesting, engaging, relevant? That's something that's going to say, wow, this is really cool. I really enjoyed this. So I'm going to keep checking them out. Not only I keep checking them out, I'm going to share it to my friends, and I'm going to say, hey, have you listened to this? Have you watched this? Have you checked this out? It's really cool. It's really, really neat. So, okay, wrapping this up, okay? Question and answer time. What do you want to know? I've gone through a lot of stuff at a very high level and a very quick thing. So I'm going to just kill off my PowerPoint here. And what do you want to know? What were you hoping to get from this? Did I deliver that? Did I miss the mark? And if I missed it, what is the mark? Don't all talk at once. You guys are a bunch of creative. Somebody email me a cricket sound effect, please. I need one. I just have to have a cricket sound effect on my computer that I can just hit a button and play crickets.
All right, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I use the email a lot to reach our members, and I generally do it like once a month or so, and I usually have several stories. Would I be better off just really focusing on a particular topic and send more often so that, you know, the subject matter is like maybe one thing? Or is this collective article newsletter type format, is that better?
Right. So my first question to that is, do you have a program that allows you to see open rates? So when emails go out, it tells you what percentage of them were opened. Okay. Okay. So look at that, and then I would experiment with that. Is maybe, I mean, once a month is that you're not annoying people. Okay. Once a week is not really annoying. I mean, it all depends on who you are. More than once a week, now you're gonna get annoyed. Okay. So what I would suggest is experimenting. And I think, you know, a monthly with multiple stories is, people have short attention spans. In the internet world, you have 18 seconds before people get bored, which is why a lot of like video commercials on like YouTube generally are in the 10 to 15 second range, because studies have shown human beings get bored after 18 seconds. So if you're sending me 3 stories, am I going to read all 3 of them? I don't know. And I think you have to run a test and maybe say, you know what, for 3 months, we're going to switch over to this one at a time. Now look at your open rates before, look at your bounce rates before, try this, and then compare the 2. And I don't think that that's super risky. I don't think, and I think if you address that in an email and saying, over the next 3 months, you're going to be hearing from us, you know, once a week with individualized stories. I think if you preface it with that, I don't think you're going to annoy people. But if people do unsubscribe, you have to ask yourself, I mean, really, are you losing them? Is it necessarily bad that you're losing them? I mean, if they're never ever, if they're just dead weight anyway, getting rid of them is actually better for you. So, but I think that's a really interesting question, and without having the data to back that up, but that might be a thing, is if you have maybe some super fans, you might want to reach out to them. Do you guys know what super fans are in social media? These are the people that always are there. They always follow you. They're always the ones that comment. Sometimes you'll see like they give them now badges to say that you're the top fan. I always worry about when I see that. But you can reach out and ask them and say, what would you think? I mean, maybe do a small focus group first and then roll that out.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, my clock says 1:59, which means I talked way too much. So Jake, you unmuted, so I'm assuming you had a question?
Yeah, but actually I think I'm in your session right after this, so I'm going to save it because I think it's relevant.
Okay, cool. And that's what my session's going to be about, is really talking about these one-on-one examples. So any last overall comments, and okay, Lisa, Mary, I'm going to just put you on the spot. Was that any good?
Yeah,
okay.
Good.
Okay. Did people start dropping like flies and they're like, we're out of here? Okay, good.
I was watching the count. Our participants are now at 43. That's the highest count we've had all day. So.
Yay, cool. And it's right after lunch, so everybody's got a full stomach and they're sleepy. Thanks for putting me here. Okay. Oh, cool. No, this is fun. I like doing this. And again, I think what you guys do is super cool. I used to do a lot of volunteering for public access TV back in the day, and I think what you're doing is wonderful, and it's needed, and especially I know you said don't talk about politics, but in today's world, it's so hard to find real news. So please keep doing what you do.